Hey there. This is just a video response to Juice on an old video that he did, which has come up in conversation lately, and that's in regard to power gamers or strategic or technical sort of gamers, tactical gamers, or play styles in general in games. And yeah, there's just one important thing I want to point out. Um, my 2 cents on the situation is that the relationship that you have with the people sitting at your table, the people that you are going out of your way to have a face-to-face extended meeting with every week, or however long the campaign goes, or however often the campaign goes. If you think about it like a weekly poker game or something like that that you have with your friends, or any sort of activity where you're getting together as a group, the activity that you do is less important than the relationship that you have with the people. If the activity is getting in the way of the relationship, then the activity has failed. If you are annoyed with somebody because of their play style, really it's a breakdown in your communication, it's a breakdown in your relationship with that person. That is a failure on both your parts because you're not paying attention to the enjoyment or engagement with the other person. Your communication is broken down. Your engagement with the other person has broken down to the point where it's not working, and you can't blame that on a role-playing game. A role-playing game is, if you've got a bunch of friends, like good friends with good communication, role-playing systems are nothing at all. You can change and chop and start, stop, and shift around to different game styles, different systems, willy-nilly. You can chop and change and shorthand everything in order to achieve that communication, that story that you want as a group. You're on the same page. When the relationship is good, the system doesn't matter. Okay? Inscribe that on a wall and put it on a plaque somewhere. When the relationship is good, the system doesn't matter because you're just role-playing. You're just talking. A role-playing game is an excuse to sit down and talk for 3 hours. And nobody sits and talks completely about the game for 3 hours. You also take little breaks and talk about other stuff as well, occasionally. Sometimes you're a little bit more focused, sometimes not. A really good game, you'll sit and you'll be locked in for 3 or 4 hours or so of gaming, but at some point you'll say, oh man, we need a break. Let's go and have a coffee or something like that. If your role-playing game is broken down to such a point where it's a chore to show up every week and either run it or participate in it, or if it's a lot of trouble to get back into the feel of the thing, then take a break every now and then. Go and watch a movie or go to a bar and play some pool or something. Just take a break from it. Just be friends hanging out. Because the friendship is the point of the entire exercise, not the role-playing game. The role-playing game is just an activity. It's just the wine with the dinner. The dinner being your relationship with your friends, where you actually physically meet and talk face to face. How many things actually have you hang out and talk and face to face interact with your friends these days? Not a lot. So they are very important. Yeah, aside from that, I think one very important thing to bring to your game before it even starts is the pre-game session where you just hang out and you make characters and you talk about the world and the environment that you want to frame the story in, and elements that you want to bring to the story. Not just you as the game master, but also your friends. What do they want to see in the game? So that's also where you talk about whether you want to have alignments at all in the game, whether you want to have that challenge of playing outside of your own mental framework. So that's what alignments are really about. It's not dictating what you can and can't do. It's a challenge. It's a milestone to meet that, to do actions which are in alignment with that cause, which is foreign to your own. You don't use role play. You don't role play alignments to be yourself as that alignment. You role play alignments to step out of yourself and do things that you wouldn't normally do, and to think of things in that framework. It's like a puzzle. Whether you want to have puzzles in your game, whether you want to have characters that know each other or don't, when do those relationships start? How does a sailor know an acolyte, for instance? When did that happen? How do you divvy up loot as a group? Are you working for money or some sort of social recognition or fame or what? Where in this world are you? Do you want to be in a city or in a jungle? Do you want to investigate dungeons? Do you want to bash down doors and kill dragons? Do you want to have some sort of steampunk elements in the game? How do you want magic to work? Do you want to have psychic powers? Do you want to have gods involved in the game? Do you want to have the gods more distant or more real? These are questions that you ask right at the very start. And through this, your world adapts and changes according to what the players want, and also compromise with what your friends want to do. So, yeah, you're the host of a party more than a dungeon master. You're putting on the entertainment. You're the pretty lights, the music, the hors d'oeuvres. These are the sort of things that you're putting on. If your players don't like the taste of the hors d'oeuvres, serve them other hors d'oeuvres, or give them a cake. Change. These are your friends. You're giving them something to entertain them, and through it, be amused by their entertainment. If you're having problems with how they receive this entertainment, or what they do with it once they get it, then examine your relationship. If your relationship is suffering because of this, there's probably some underlying cause. If they're not engaging with you, maybe you don't really gel with their personality. If you don't like their play style, maybe it's because you don't see the value of what they're doing, and that's a failing on your part too. A power gamer can teach you some really interesting things about how to run monsters that challenge them. A real role player can tell you all sorts of things about how to describe things in an engaging way. If you don't like their play style, maybe they don't like your run style. So yeah, everybody's got something to learn from their friends, and role-playing games are about friendships. And that's really all I've got to say on it. Good topic though.